everyone, I am going to be doing an edit for you today. This was an edit request that was submitted by Maria Wows in the group. I thought it would be fun to just do this as a video just to show you guys how to do this edit. So in her request, she asked that that someone help get rid of the orange color cast without getting rid of the orange in the umbrellas. And so I'm going to show you guys how to approach something like this. Now, in this case, I'm going to be using Photoshop. You can probably also do this in Lightroom, but I just prefer to use Photoshop for edits like this just because I find that it gives me a lot more control, and I don't want to find out that, you know, in Lightroom I'm like almost there but I can't quite get to where I want to get to with it without opening it up in Photoshop. So I'm going to tackle something like this in here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start by adding a hue saturation layer, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this part to make sure that I'm actually in the adjustments, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to switch this to blues. Now I don't actually care about this right now. I'm just picking anything that lets me get to this dropper tool right here, because I want to use that dropper tool to pick up the color right here to see what color I'm mostly dealing with here. And as you can tell, it switched it to reds 2, which means that this is mostly reds 2 that is causing this cast right now on her skin. And in order to get rid of this, I'm going to go ahead and desaturate it, but you don't want to go too heavy-handed on this, because as you can see, it's going to start to turn them into these little zombie versions of themselves, so we don't want that. So definitely there should be some red in a person's skin, because, you know, red and yellow make orange, and, you know, skin, one of, like, you know, the tone of skin or the color that's actually inside our skin is actually going to be some combination of that. So we can't get rid of it completely, but we do want to get rid of the, you know, cast that is being caused here that makes it way more orange than it should be. I am going to also adjust the hue so that I can also kind of neutralize some of the color that way. And right now when I do this, I'm not looking at anything else other than just this area where the cast is, because that's really what I want to tackle and I really want to get rid of. So I'm trying to see at which point it really gets rid of it and kind of neutralizes it while still looking natural for just this area and not the rest of the skin, because we're not going to be painting it onto those areas. So I'm going to try and sort of neutralize this as much as possible. Now I can go a little bit more heavy-handed and I can drop the opacity of the layer later if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with this. I'm going to click on the layer mask on the hue saturation layer. I'm going to hit Command+I on my Mac. On a Windows, I believe the hotkeys are Alt-I, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to make your layer mask turn into black, which means that it turns it off, and then you can paint in where you want it now with a brush. Now I can do this with the brush, and I probably will for this just because it only is in certain parts of the skin and not others. I am going to set the hardness of the brush probably to around like 30%, just so that I have a little bit more of a clean edge on this brush so that it doesn't bleed out too much into these other areas. And then I'm going to go in with a smaller size brush to just kind of paint it off of these areas right here. Okay, now I'm just going around and painting it off of the parts where I don't want it. I am going to try to avoid her lips because we do want her lips to be a little bit more on the red side, but I am going to be taking it off of these other areas. Okay, and I'm a little bit unsure about this bow right here because I do feel that the bow probably wants, like, you know, it has some colors in there that are a little bit more on the orange side. And this picture is obviously not like the highest quality, but I'm just kind of showing you all very quickly how to do something like this. I'm going to take it off a little bit around her neck area, but I'm going to leave it on the bottom part of her neck just because I definitely don't want to affect those areas down there. I'm going to be taking it off right here, just in like the worst parts where I really kind of see it. I'm going to see it around his nose right here. I'm going to see it along the edge of his skin right here. So I am kind of going, I'm going to go around these edges right here as well that are picking up on this cast, and I'm going to just be like removing it from just those areas. And I'm changing the size of my brush as I go. I use my hotkeys. It's actually the two end brackets between, it's underneath the plus and the minus and the delete keys on a keyboard, but the two end brackets, you can use those to change the size of your brush to make it bigger or smaller. Okay, and so I'm going to turn this on and off so you guys can see what I did. As you can see, that already made such a huge difference. And then I'm going to reduce this because I could tell it was way too strong, right? Like it just made them look a little bit too gray. Their skin tones just got affected too much. So I definitely don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the opacity of this layer down to probably around there. And what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of looking to see at what point do I feel that it really blends in with their natural skin color so that they don't have this like grayish looking face. So I'm like checking around like the neck and stuff to just kind of make sure that it blends together pretty well. Okay. Now that got rid of most of it, but there's still a little bit of it left behind. And so I'm going to keep going through, and I'm just going to be like reducing other colors in other ways. So right now I have a selective color layer. Okay, this one's a selective color layer, and I'm going to be in my reds channel, and I'm going to be reducing magenta in reds, which is, I could tell that's affecting this. And again, I'm just looking only at them and the area where the color cast is, and I'm not looking at anything else. I'm also going to see if I get rid of yellow, if that helps. And also sometimes if you add cyan, that can also help to sort of neutralize it. So I'm doing that as well. So I'm going to try and see if I reduce red some more, and I'm gonna see if there's maybe possibly another color in there that maybe has it. Maybe it might be like blacks or something. No, it's not. It doesn't seem to be blacks. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead. Let me check actually magenta. Sometimes magentas will also be affected. No, it's not actually getting rid of it from there. So I'm trying to see like what other colors this could be that would maybe get rid of some of that color cast, but I'm not finding it in these other areas. So I'm just going to go ahead and just only do this adjustment right here. And I'm also going to paint this into just some of the areas, just a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to be just adding it right here, just in a couple areas, just a little bit more. And then I'm going to go back one more time with a hue saturation layer, and I'm going to do it again just to get off of them. Okay. So let's do add another hue saturation layer. Okay. Oh, sorry. Keep in mind, I also inverted it and then I painted it in with the white mask. So I do some of these steps very quickly. I'm sorry. I'm like so used to working so quickly that I just sort of do some of this stuff without like even thinking. Okay, I'm going to go to my blues channel in my hue saturation layer. I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool. I'm now going to go back here and look, it's still the reds too. It's just so strong in the hair. So I'm actually probably going to have to do it a couple like more like more aggressively on just this boy's hair, because his hair is being affected more than her hair or her head is. So I'm going to go to about here. I'm just trying to get to a nice, like real looking sort of hair color for this boy. So I just keep like pushing it until I feel like I'm kind of there. And then I'm going to go ahead and invert my mask, going to Command+I, okay, on my Mac. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint this in now with a brush. Okay, let me make sure it's not selected. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paint this in to his head some more so that we can remove this color cast some more on just him. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on and off. As you can see, that did actually make like a huge difference, and that does look a lot better. I'm also going to go in right here to just some of these areas just along her that I feel really need this. Okay, and I am going to clean up around her face just a little bit more, and that looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm turning it on and off. I'm going to reduce this because it's a little bit too much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this other layer, and I'm actually going to paint this off of her a little bit because I feel like her skin gets a little bit too ashy or too gray. And I'm actually going to use a black brush, probably set to about like 25% or so, just to kind of reduce this a little bit, to bring back some of the orange in her skin. I'm back on the original, like very first layer that I did. I just think it was a little bit too strong on just her skin tone because her skin started to get a little bit orange compared to her neck, and I want to make sure it's a little bit more balanced. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to actually probably go back and just add it back onto this area just a little bit because this area started getting a little bit too orange. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going back and forth, and then I'm just kind of like balancing out the editing a little bit as well with like a lighter colored brush. I'm going to turn on my my red like mask so you guys can see what it looks like. So this is how I painted it on. This red is showing you that the areas that aren't affected, and the white is showing you the areas that are affected by this edit. Okay, so this is what I did. I'm going to go ahead and group these for you all, just to show you guys what it looks like when I turn all the edits on and off completely. So here you go. Okay, so that is how I did that. Now, there's a lot more stuff that you could do, but I just wanted to make this into a short, quick video just so you could see how to do something like this. And this is basically like a really quick and easy way to get you know, the color cast off of people while still keeping the colors in other areas. Okay, all right, thanks for joining me. Bye, everybody.